Welcome to Property Ladder, the programme that follows the trials, tribulations and hopefully triumphs of first-time property developers. This week I'm in Taunton, Somerset, to meet a developer who's renovating a 3-bed Victorian house without 1 square room in the whole place. The moment Paul Dare saw it, he knew it was exactly what he'd been looking for.
It was so different. There are little things going on inside that house that you just won't come across in your average Victorian terraced house.
After separating from his wife last year, Paul blew part of the divorce settlement on a brand new Mini Cooper S, and the rest on his first development. Paul needed a project to lose himself in, and in this house, he's certainly found it. It's a big project for someone with so little experience, because along with its period features, this property also has some serious structural problems. The roof isn't properly supported, and the walls are bowing under the weight. Getting this house right is going to be a big challenge. It's massive road frontage. It must be a huge house, is it?
It looks a lot larger on the outside than it is when you get inside, but certainly, yes, we've got 17 metres along the front here.
And what made you decide to buy this particular house?
One of the major factors was that it's an unusual house. There's hardly a square room in there, which is excellent. It's not a square terraced house at all.
And you wanted to develop an unpredictable house, did you?
I particularly wanted to do something that was a little bit different, a bit out of the ordinary, yeah.
And how much did you buy the house for?
110,000.
Right, and how much are you planning on spending doing it up?
Currently 27,000.
So that's a total of 137,000. Mm-hmm. And what do you hope you'll sell it for?
At this moment in time, 170,000.
Paul's using the money from his divorce settlement along with a loan of £110,000. But the mortgage company won't release the loan until he's done the structural work. Paul bought it for £110,000 plus fees. His budget is just £27,000 for all the work. He's hoping to sell for £170,000, which would give him a profit of £33,000 excluding fees for 5 months' work. From the outside, the property seems enormous, but because it's a triangular shape, once you're inside, it's much, much smaller, and every room is a different shape. Upstairs, there are 3 reasonably sized bedrooms, a big family bathroom, and a storeroom at the top of the stairs. Downstairs is a large dining room with a tiny kitchen squeezed into one of the property's many corners. And there's a reasonably sized sitting room, but all that's about to change. So what are you going to be doing in here? Lovely door, isn't it?
Yes, it is. This is a lounge, but it's going to be a garage.
Right. Why?
Off-road parking. There's real issues here with off-road parking. We're going to take out the window, we're going to widen the opening, electrically operated door, drive up the road, hit the button and drive straight in. And then we're going to open the fireplace up and we're going to put an indoor barbecue in here. So not only is it a garage, you have a games room or a party room or whatever you want.
I've never really come across anyone who's wanted to turn their sitting room into a garage.
All the more reason for doing it.
Just to be different.
Yeah.
If this was Paul's home, then it would be fine for him to do whatever he wants. But it isn't. This development is supposed to make him money. And in a road which already has residents parking, this doesn't seem a good idea. He'll have to fit garage doors, reinforce the floors, and make the entire room fireproofed. It's going to cost him £5,000, and I don't think it's going to make him a penny. I can't say whether you're completely and totally mad or actually quite clever.
Do you know, I don't know the answer to that either.
Unfortunately, Paul's ideas for the rest of downstairs seem much more sensible and will definitely improve the property, make it easier to sell and add value.
We're going to completely knock that wall down.
Right.
To open up the whole area.
I think this is a good idea. The kitchen is totally inadequate for a 3-bed family house, and Paul's new layout will be much better. Gosh, it's a lovely sun trap, isn't it?
It is. We're ripping down all of the sheds there and the outdoor loo to create some space, and this will then be your Mediterranean courtyard.
Are you sort of designing your perfect house here?
Not really, no. Obviously, there are some indulgences, but in the main, I'm trying to keep it reined in a little bit so that we can actually sell the place at the end. It would be a shame to get to that point and then not be able to sell it.
At the moment, the property has a decent-sized family bathroom, but Paul's planning to move it into the small storage rooms at the top of the stairs.
Come on into the bathroom, Sarah.
It's a tiny little room. This is the bathroom, is it?
This is actually going to be a sauna.
Why are you putting a sauna in?
We were trying to think of something more unusual to do, and there's a little bit of indulgence here, I will admit.
You like saunas?
Yeah.
Are you going to have the bath and basin and loo? Are they going to fit in here? Are they going vertically?
They are going to, we're going to turn the bath on its end.
Yeah.
The bath has got a point at the front, and it will slide into that corner there.
Right. So it goes through a tiny little sauna to get into this tiny little bathroom. This is a really bad idea. If it was a state-of-the-art bachelor pad, then a sauna might make the property more saleable, though even there it's unlikely to add value. But it isn't. It's a small family house in Somerset, and you'll have to walk through the steamy sauna to use the bathroom and loo. I can't tell you how strongly I would recommend that you did not put a sauna in.
The house is saying do something different.
No, the house is different already. It doesn't need to be...
We're going to agree to differ on this, aren't we?
The whole first floor is going to change because of Paul's decision to have a garage. The main bedroom is going to become the lounge. The bathroom will become the 3rd bedroom. And he's planning to do it all on just £27,000. £27,000 to refurbish all of this house and to line the new garage and to be knocking walls down, putting a new kitchen, new bathroom. I would think this is a £50,000 job.
It works on paper, and I think it's going to work in principle. I don't think we will go over by as much as a penny.
And you're certain about that?
As certain as I can be at this stage, yeah. We're not going to go over budget.
But it's going to be a squeeze. He's allocated just over £4,000 for the roof, £5,000 for creating the garage, £4,000 for the new kitchen, the new bathroom and the new sauna, just over £7,000 for building work and decorating, £5,000 for the plumbing, electrics, fixtures and fittings, and £1,900 for professional fees. But there's no contingency fund, so he'd better hope that nothing goes wrong. But if the layout's a problem, the location isn't. This is a desirable area of Taunton, 5 minutes walk from the town centre with a primary school just over the road. Another good sign is that there are other developments being built, including a luxury flat and office block just across the road. There's money to be made, but I think he'd be better off creating a simple, stylish family home and forgetting the saunas, garages and indoor barbecues. The next day, the work begins. The lounge floor is coming up. And upstairs, the lath and plaster walls are coming down. Paul's never done anything like this before, and his job as a licensing officer with the local council hasn't exactly prepared him for what's in store.
It's nice to get rid of all the bad stuff, and then you can start slinging in all the new stuff.
He'll be working alongside a builder friend who's helping manage the project. Although the building work gets off to a flying start, it's not long before Paul discovers the roof isn't the only thing wrong with the house. Everything they touch seems to turn up another problem.
The majority of the timbers here are literally falling apart. We're headed towards a big skip in the sky, I think.
This could be a straightforward, profitable development. But if Paul has his way, it's going to be anything but. First-time property developer Paul Dare has set himself a pretty big challenge. In just 20 weeks, he's intending to gut this house and make it structurally sound. That means a totally new roof and structural supports to tie the front and back walls together. And his plans don't stop there. He wants to fit a sauna into his tiny bathroom and turn his sitting room into a garage. But 2 weeks in, they're already in trouble.
We did have a slight hold-up initially with the scaffolding going in 3 days late, which meant we couldn't take the roof off on the first weekend.
Oh, we've had the wrong timbers sent, which we've had to send back, wait a week for new timbers.
The following weekend, the weather was not very good, so we decided that that wasn't a good idea to strip the roof then. So we're essentially a fortnight behind with the roof.
Paul can't afford delays. He's financing this stage of the development out of his savings. The mortgage company won't release the loan until the roof is repaired. To make matters worse, when they strip off the felt and battens, Paul discovers it's worse than he feared.
We knew that the roof was fairly bad. The timbers themselves are way too small to support the roof. And the timber that runs across the middle is actually a floorboard with a few props back to the rear wall to hold it in position. And none of the timbers are strong enough to keep itself upright. So it's all moving out into the street.
Paul needs this project back on schedule. If he doesn't get the house roofed before his money runs out, the mortgage company won't release their funds. To save money, Paul's given notice on his rented flat and he plans to move in here in 3 weeks. But the problem with developing old properties is that you never know what you'll find, and Paul's just been advised that there's an issue with the headroom above the stairs.
This beam here is too near to the stairs, so it now means we have to move that back about 2 feet.
More work that wasn't planned and isn't in the budget. And while test positioning an RSJ, Paul's builder Mark has managed to smash a hole right through the front of the house.
Mark and I are getting on fine. We've just hidden all the heavy sledgehammers, any blunt objects and anything he can do damage with. He has now got a nickname. He's the Demolition Man.
Paul's already earmarked over £5,000, 20% of his budget, to deal with all the structural work. He can't afford many more unexpected problems, and this job has hardly started. But at least he's trying to bring his spending under control.
The sauna has gone. It has died a death, and we are now looking to use the whole space as a bathroom. So whether or not we can squeeze in a steam cabinet, that's another matter, but the sauna has gone, yeah.
Saving £1,500 is a good move, though the steam room sounds almost as bad. Paul needs to keep costs down as much as he can, because house prices in Taunton are lower than surrounding cities. A similar property in Bristol or Exeter would be around £100,000 more. With no major industry and no university student rental market, costs in Taunton have not risen as fast. It's a traditional market town, and that means many buyers have more traditional tastes. So there's a danger they won't want Paul's steam room, indoor barbecue and the like. But Paul's determined he's going to make his property really stand out from the rest, and he's come to a bathroom showroom to get some ideas.
Is this the steam cabinet end?
Yeah, I thought you was going to say that. We are. I'm hoping I can persuade you to change that idea, because the room being so small.
Okay.
there'll be a sunken bath.
So you walk up and then step into the bath.
That's right, yeah.
At the other, a sink and loo.
That's going to lend itself to the room very well. The depth's good.
I also like the tap. Glass bricks, they're nice.
And in the far corner, a multi-jet shower.
In chrome, very simplistic.
And you're talking about putting that right in that sharp corner.
That's right.
If he goes ahead with these plans, he'll be blowing £4,000 rather than the £1,000 he's allocated.
I like the idea of the sunken bath. I like the shower unit in the corner. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about that. I've got some very, very big decisions to make on the bathroom. But overall, I think it could look very, very good, yeah.
It's now 3 weeks into the 20-week project. Paul's supposed to be moving in 2 weeks, but it's difficult to see how. Gosh, you've been having smashing time in here, haven't you?
We have.
It's a lovely big open space now, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
great.
And we'll turn it into a kitchen dining room.
And you can see right through to upstairs. Let's go and have a look at what you've been up to there.
Okay.
Blimey, what's happened?
Oh, lots.
Oh my God, where's the walls gone?
There aren't any anymore.
Why?
The timbers within the partitions, they were all loose and wobbly, so they had to go.
Do you not feel a bit overwhelmed with it? Because this is your first development and it's very ambitious. I mean, you have ripped the core of this house out.
Yes, when you look at the job as a whole, it seems like there's an awful lot of work here. But in reality, I don't foresee any major problems. I think we would have found them by now. There's not a lot hiding, is there?
There's a very long way to go. Paul still needs to get the roof finished so he can get the mortgage money released. But this project is about more than money.
I separated last year. I've got 2 children. There's nothing really I'd rather be doing. I'm not looking for another partner at this time, and to be able to concentrate on this is marvellous. Therapeutic, definitely. Good fun. I finish work, I dash home, change my clothes, and I'm here within 20 minutes. And it's a challenge because we're looking at taking a house that's very tired and turning it into something that's going to raise a few eyebrows.
This property is unusual, and that could make it worth more if Paul does it properly. There's a good market for period properties with unusual architectural features, and people will pay a premium of up to 34% to get them. This railway signal box in Yorkshire was converted 8 years ago. It cost less than £10,000. The conversion took years and cost £60,000, but it was worth it. It's now worth almost £400,000. Oast houses are always in demand, like this massive conversion. They've created a 6-bed house out of the 2 hop kilns and half a barn. It's a good, simple conversion that stands out for all the right reasons. And its uniqueness makes it worth thousands of pounds more than an ordinary house would be on the same plot. Paul's property is a good investment. Its quirky charm could appeal to buyers. But Paul seems to be creating his own ideal bachelor pad and forgetting his more conservative market. What would possess you to put a hot tub in this incredibly small garden?
Well, no, none of that will be there. That's going to be opened up and everything, so there will be space. And then you've got room for a table and chairs and everything.
Have you?
Yeah, on the drawings it works very well.
And how much is that?
The model I'm looking at is around £3,500.
You're spending £3,500
On a hot tub.
Putting a hot tub in possibly one of the smallest gardens I've ever seen for a...
It depends on your viewpoint.
Well, I suppose if you look up, it's not that small.
Huge, all that space.
But if you look across,
Imagine
it's quite
sitting
small.
here on Christmas Day in a hot tub. Marvellous.
I think you've gone mad. There are lots of improvements that add value, but there are others that are unlikely to earn the money back. And jacuzzis, hot tubs and whirlpools don't. Nor do saunas, swimming pools or satellite dishes. Whatever improvements you do, make sure they add more value to your development than they cost to put in. Paul's future-proofing the house by laying miles of cables so each room can be linked with computers and satellite TV.
Given the choice, people would have a network rather than not have one. The problem is it can be quite expensive to put it in after everything else is built, whereas now putting it in before we put the partitions up makes it so much easier and so much cheaper to do. All in all, we're going to be looking at about £2,000 to £2,500.
This just means more work and less profit. It won't make his house easier to sell, and it's unlikely to add a penny to the value. It's 6 weeks since work started, and this build is very behind schedule. The roof should have been finished, but now the bad weather has stopped any work. Inside, the new stud walls should have been built, but they're only just going up.
With old buildings, you always uncover things that you could never ever envisage. You take one thing apart and you see something, you think, oh God, like replace that. But it just works the way with old buildings. That's the problem when you buy a 150-year-old building. So there's an awful lot of work to be done, to be completed within the time. It's not as if it's not impossible, it's possible. But because of the way the economy's booming, every carpenter, plumber, electrician is up to their work to here.
We're a little bit behind, but I think we can make that out. We've got some extra labour coming in on Thursday this week.
Not really worried yet. It's not time to panic yet. Maybe if I get another 2 weeks behind, then it's time to panic.
In order to save money, Paul gave notice on his rented house, intending to move into the development. But he can't.
Today is leave my rented house and move in with my mother.
With the project so overspent, no money from the mortgage company until the roof's fixed, Paul has no choice.
I've lived with my mother before, so should be able to do it again. It's only till we can get the house to a state where I can actually move in. It's a bit of a building site.
At least the car will soon be getting a home.
Today, we're taking out the large windows downstairs and fitting the garage. By the time I come back here later today, there should be a working electric garage door.
Paul's dream of electric doors come at a price, £1,200, with a specialist firm brought in to install them. When Paul returns from work, he spots a major problem. The door has been set too far back into the opening, which means the entire system has to come out. It needs to be repositioned tomorrow, another half day's work. It might be in the wrong place, but at least Paul seems happy to have his first gadget to play with. The next day, Paul gets some very bad news. He was expecting the mortgage company to release his loan the moment the property was structurally sound. But they've now told him they won't release a penny until the house is habitable, and it's a very long way from that. This could be a disaster. No mortgage means no money, means no house. Paul could have done all this work for nothing.
We could find ourselves in a position where we haven't done enough work to satisfy the C&G, and we cannot pay to complete the work that needs to be done to satisfy the C&G. I could probably fund another 4 weeks, 6 weeks. So we might, theoretically, get to a position where work has to stop and we have no mortgage.
But Paul is determined not to be downhearted. Indeed, throughout this project, he's refused to be anything other than relentlessly optimistic.
Not too much of a problem. It's manageable. Not too much of a problem. Not too much of a problem. Teething problem. Minor problem. It's not really caused a problem. It's not too much of a problem. It's not a problem. All in all, not too bad.
On this occasion, his optimism is well placed, as the mortgage company has agreed to release the money.
The issue regards structural and habitable has disappeared effectively. And we carry on regardless.
3 weeks later, I've come to see if the release of his mortgage money means Paul has got things back on track.
Apart from that, the garage door's in, yes.
Do you think that looks nice?
I'm pleased with it, yes. It's not quite finished yet, but it's okay.
Do you know, I hate to say it, but I think it looks hideous.
Do you?
Yes.
Wait until we've finished it and see what you think then.
Okay, well, I shall reserve judgment. Paul started 3 months ago, and by now, I'd expect the bathroom to be tiled, decorating to have started upstairs, the kitchen to be plastered, and the concrete garage floor to have been laid. The moment he saw this unusual house, first-time property developer Paul Dare knew it was just what he'd been after. But his big ideas have turned this into a very complicated development, and after 3 months' work, I'd expect more progress. You're 12 weeks into a 20-week schedule. What's been happening?
All kinds of things
Not a
all around
lot.
the house. No, we've done a lot. We've done a lot in that
Have you?
time. Yes, we have, yeah.
You're not really quite there yet, are you? Let's be
Not really
honest.
quite there yet, no.
No.
We've been working upstairs an awful lot.
Oh, the plastering's done.
Yep.
Great, and the walls up.
Yes. Right through the first floor.
And this is the bathroom.
Yes, we've got a nice big bath that will live in here, sunken in the floor.
See, I'm a bit torn with this, because I sort of think it's a fun idea, but who are you marketing this towards? Who's going to buy this house, do you think?
Mr. and Mrs. England with children.
So you think that this would be practical for a family who had kids to be able to bath their kids in this
Yeah, not a problem.
sunken bath?
No, it's going to look nice and it's going to be worth every penny.
How is your budget generally? You were hoping to spend £27,000 completely refurbishing this house. Are you still going to do it for that figure, do you think?
I think not. We are going to be over budget a little bit.
So what, 30 is the deadline?
Maybe a bit more than that.
35?
Maybe a bit less than that, so we'll see. The fact that we're overspending a bit doesn't concern me too much. I would rather overspend than underspend and it be noticeable. You don't want to spoil the ship for a heap of tar.
Paul's still carrying on with his plans to make a very individual property, including squeezing the bathroom into what used to be the 2 storerooms.
It fits in the hole. That's a good start.
It's a good start, but is it a good solution? Although the bath fits, I think Paul is going to have to be really clever to make this room work. But even the tiniest space can appear larger. There's hardly any floor in this tiny bathroom, but using one colour, no texture and a massive mirror, it feels much bigger. The large, simple skylight helps. There's nothing fiddly or small in here to distract the eye. The walls, floor, even the wash basin are moulded out of the same smooth material, corian, making the room seem larger than it really is. But getting a room like this right takes a lot of careful design and planning.
You were worried, weren't you?
I was a bit worried. It does look a bit like a sheep dip, doesn't it? But you do realise that to turn the bath on, you're going to have to come along like this, turn the taps on like this, very elegant, and you'd have to clean the bath like this, and then I know how you clean the bath. You get down like this and you have to scrub it like this. This is the most impractical bathroom I've ever seen in my whole life. The bath just doesn't work for a family house. The only market such a layout might suit is athletic young professionals. And the impractical bathroom is not my only worry. Paul's behind schedule and he's overspending like mad. With 6 weeks to go, reality finally hits, and Paul accepts just how far behind this build is. He's decided to take a week off work to get things moving.
It can be quite difficult sometimes to keep the momentum going, so, I mean, that's a really key thing, just to try and keep everything moving, not worry too much about all the details and stuff. You know, we need to get foundations in, we need to get drains in, we need to get the concrete in here. Until we do that in here, but, you know, there's nothing else we can do. You can't effectively work in here with no floor. There have been a few occasions when I've looked at our deadline when we have to finish by, and I'm thinking, how on earth are we going to achieve that?
That should be recycled and brick.
Yeah, like a double brick size. It's a triangular room, Melvin. Is there any chance you can bring them round? Yeah, it's constantly trying to just keep that forward movement. It can be very difficult. The guys on site can get very bogged down waiting for one thing to happen. They often don't then get on with something else.
I was enjoying it. Now I'm starting to feel a bit tired and fed up, and it almost feels like, you know, I don't know, you want to just get it done.
To add to everyone's problems, building control want the foundations for the balcony extension dug down to solid earth, which could be as much as 8 foot rather than the 3 that Paul had hoped. Time and money are finally forcing Paul to compromise on this property, including his plans for the courtyard.
We were going to put down tiles and you know, really put some effort into it, but we haven't got the time now. We're going to concrete down and make it look as good as we can. That's property development, I guess. It happens, so we compromise.
I hope Paul doesn't compromise too much. The unusually shaped rooms have so much potential. They're really easy to get wrong. So I've brought Paul to see a hexagonal house in Hampshire where they got it right. There's got an immense sense of space in here.
It certainly does.
Doesn't it? I mean, it's very, very luxurious to have so much space and have only one room in it.
It's lovely. I love the light coming in from everywhere.
The most important thing with your house is to avoid it being awkward and feeling like it's kind of a difficult space you've had to work with. And there are tricks you can do with that.
Working with the space rather than against it.
Exactly. So in here you've got the same colour on all the woodwork, the walls, the ceilings.
I like it, the way that the light actually throws a different colour onto each of them.
What they have done here is maximise the angles with the flooring here, and instead of laying the wood flooring in the same direction as the slate, actually pops it on an angle which repeats the angles of the walls. Actually here, you see again, the fact that the carpet has been laid on an angle and not straight, again, it repeats the angles in this house. This is a lovely big room, but because your rooms are much smaller and equally unusual in shape, I really would recommend that you have fitted cupboards in all the bedrooms and as many as possible throughout the house. It's a really lovely big bathroom, this, isn't it? Unlike yours. And actually, having the bath here with the raised platform in front of it gives the illusion of having a sunken bath. And the large tiles actually maximise the space and makes it feel bigger. Have you any regrets seeing this, that you moved out of your bigger bathroom into your little bathroom?
No, not at all. No, I need the 3 bedrooms. So I think that's really crucial for the property. 3 bedrooms, the off-road parking, and what I think we can do with the available space in the bathroom, though not as large, will be equally interesting and equally nice.
2 weeks later, Paul's push to get the project finished has clearly paid off.
The house is virtually complete and we're looking forward to finishing it, especially me.
We've still got a lot to do in the next 2 or 3 weeks, but certainly, yeah, it feels like we're getting there. Just go because I'm knackered.
The garage cum party room is taking shape. Although the sauna, steam room and Mediterranean courtyard have gone, not all Paul's dreams have been abandoned, and the indoor barbecue is going ahead.
Well, this is one of his better requests, really. So this is an easy request. I can handle this one.
Everyone's been roped in, including a friend who's restoring the original glass doors. It's always worth evaluating what's on site, because even something as unpromising as this can be brought back to its former glory. Paul has kept the pressure up, but getting the building back on schedule has come at a cost.
We've had weeks when we've had 8 people on site. Certainly for most of the days in a given week, some fairly hefty wage bills. One week in particular was £2,400.
Considering his role as project manager, Paul remains very vague about his budget.
Well, let's just say that I tweaked the specification a little bit and amended the budget to suit. I have spent a little more than I originally intended. Despite what I said at the beginning, it was difficult not to, really.
He might have got this build back on schedule, but Paul's well over budget, and he now has to hope that Taunton's ready for his idea of the perfect family home. It's mid-November, 22 weeks since this massive development began, and the property is finally just about finished. Paul's devoted all his free time to getting the house ready to go back on the market.
It's definitely been worth all the effort to see it now compared with what it was like at the beginning. Yeah, definitely worth it.
Knocking through the tiny kitchen to create one big kitchen diner is a big success and will appeal to families and young professionals alike. But I'm not so sure about the rest of the house. The new sitting room is upstairs and feels a little swamped by the furniture, though the neutral colour scheme and strip boards work well. Changing the downstairs sitting room into a garage and party room with an indoor barbecue was extraordinary. It cost Paul £5,000, won't add to the value, and is unlikely to appeal to the conservative market. It sort of feels like a sitting room, but it doesn't.
We've deliberately designed it so that if anybody wants to reinstate it, it's less work for them to do. All they've literally got to do is to put a window in there instead of the garage door.
So do you think they might reinstate it then?
Absolutely, yeah. They might, but it was always designed with that in mind.
But if you think that it's possible or likely that somebody might turn this back into a sitting room, why did you waste all the money fireproofing it for making it into a garage?
It didn't really cost that much to go that extra stage. It's only an extra layer of plasterboard. And I think it'll be a selling point for the right person looking for a house of this type.
And who's that right person?
A professional couple, 1 or 2 children.
One big problem with making this property work as a family house is the lack of outside space. And even though Paul's knocked down the outside sheds, it's now completely dominated by the hot tub. Paul's been more successful transforming the bedrooms. He's kept the look neutral and simple, and he sensibly added fitted cupboards which utilised the many irregular corners to the rooms. Dressing the two smaller bedrooms was a good idea to show how they can be used. Paul wanted to create an extra bedroom by moving the bathroom into the small storage cupboards, and although the finish is clean and modern, I don't think it will appeal to the family market. Very bright, but it's quite a squeeze. Cool shower though. I just have my question marks about how practical it is as the only bathroom in the house.
I'm not really that concerned. The bathroom is nice, it's well fitted out, it's very usable, and I really quite like it.
Despite overcoming the problem of reaching the taps by fitting extra valves near the door, the bath is still far from easy to use. How do you put the plug in though?
No, you're not supposed to ask that.
So you still have to go down here like this, yeah? And then you put the plug in, like that. Then you come back to turn the taps on. I think it's a magnificent bathroom. Wonderful. You were originally hoping to spend about £27,000. So how much did you end up spending, do you think?
I think it's about 37. I think we're about 10,000 over, maybe slightly less.
Well, because by the figures that I worked out, it's actually 55 you spent.
55?
Does that make you feel depressed, those figures?
No, not at all. Not
Is that
at all.
because you just don't believe they're that high?
I don't think they're that high, no. No. But I can check.
And when Paul did check the figures, he discovered that he really had spent £55,000, something the project manager should have known. The kitchen and bathroom budget went from £2,200 to almost £10,000. Paul had allocated £1,900 for his indulgences, but the hot tub and networking the computers cost £8,000. Labour costs escalated from £2,700 to just under £10,000. The structural work, plumbing and electrics came in on budget at £6,500. But fixtures and fittings went from £6,155 to £12,700. Paul hadn't included selling fees or mortgage payments, which added £6,600 to his costs. So his total budget doubled from £27,000 to £55,000. Paul needs the value of the property to have gone well up on £170,000 to make all the work worthwhile.
Fantastic first impressions. Wow, this is nice.
A vast improvement.
Different.
That's going to provide a lot of fun for somebody.
Probably wouldn't have chosen the colour myself. Practicality-wise, it's not really there for me.
This is all networks up, I believe. It could well score the seller points.
Probably better to spend this sort of money elsewhere in the property. Superb.
It's a great idea to have a lounge on the first floor.
It wouldn't surprise me if in a couple of years' time this was a bedroom.
Lovely feature.
Very small bedroom.
Not the biggest of bathrooms.
Very, very cramped though. This is just quite awkward getting through here.
There's nothing else that's comparable to this. It's an individual property, so we'll achieve that individual price.
It's a fantastic house. To the right buyer, this house would sit comfortably at around £175,000.
I value this property in current condition at £175,000.
Somewhere between 180 and 185,000.
Paul bought the house for £110,000. He spent £55,000 doing it up. If he sells for the middle valuation of £180,000, that would give him a profit of £15,000 for an awful lot of work. How much money is the minimum amount that you would be satisfied walking away from this with?
22 weeks' work. I would want to clear 20 to 25 as an absolute minimum.
Ever the optimist, the next day, Paul puts the house on the market for the top valuation of £185,000.
Brilliant, really good.
This is lovely, isn't it? I like lovely massive windows.
Fantastic.
Oh wow, hot tub. We like tubs, don't we, children? My husband has always wanted a hot tub. It's unusual and a bit quirky.
Fantastic.
This will be lovely.
It's a good feature that it has got parking. Obviously, you've gained a garage, but you've lost a living room.
I want that door taken out and the window put in, so... And then it would work as a lounge, I think. Beautiful features. But I still would have the lounge downstairs. But I think this furniture's too big for this room. It's just easier to have your living space on one level. Make a built-in wardrobe there, couldn't you?
She would struggle to put more furniture in. When I first walked through it, I thought the garage was the right idea and the lounge was a good idea. You know, upstairs it all worked well, but I think the bedrooms do let it down. Second bath.
Although it's lovely, it's very angular. Just seems a bit crammed here. Could do being just a bit wider. From a safety point of view with two children, I'm not sure whether I think that they could hurt themselves if they fell in it. It does have quirky charm, and I think it is fairly practical, but there are some bits that aren't, like the bathroom. It is fairly unpractical. It's not a family house, I don't think.
It's more sort of like a lad's bachelor pad.
Probably in the balance of things, I wouldn't buy it.
Comparing this house to sort of other houses in the market in the same price range, I think it is too much money.
A beautiful house, but the bathroom and the courtyard just are not quite big enough. And so therefore I wouldn't be making an offer on this property.
However long the house takes to sell, doing it has kept Paul very busy, which is just what he wanted. Has this been quite a valuable therapy process?
Definitely. I think it's probably the best form of counselling I could ever have done. Me screaming at this house, trying to get it all to fit together. I think I'm better off physically, mentally, and a little bit financially too.
The challenges Paul faced and overcame on this project certainly succeeded in taking his mind off his personal life. But Paul has spent double his budget creating his own rather unconventional dream home rather than developing for the broadest possible market. But criticisms aside, he has done well. His hard work has breathed new life into these unusual rooms. But let's hope no sunken baths next time. Paul hasn't had any offers yet. Not that he's let that worry him. He's moved into the house, so he finally gets to enjoy all the little indulgences he just had to allow himself.